Abbas grew up seeing his dad abusing and molesting his mom. He loved his mom but hated his dad because of the way he treated his mom. He was full of bitterness and anger due to the wickedness his dad did to his mom. He became his mom's consolation. He kept encouraging her and vowed he will make it up to her when he is grown and becomes independent. In the bustling city of Uyo, the capital of the oil-rich state of Akwa Ibom, lived a young handsome man called Abbas. He was the only child of his parents. Abbas grew up with his parents in Uyo but was always regarded as the boy who lives in the shadow of himself by his classmates. But they didn't know Abbas was a product of a broken and abusive home. Abbas was a brilliant boy who stood out as one of the best students in his class. But suddenly his grades and activeness in class began to wax cold. The boy who was once regarded as the brightest student and the next Chika Obi, the mathematician, is now struggling to find his feet amongst other students. His school headmaster was so shocked when he was informed that Abbas got a very low grade in mathematics, a subject that was once his favorite. His class teacher did everything she could to restore Abbas to the bright student he used to be, but something bigger was taking his attention and disturbing his peace. His father was beating and molesting his mom every night, and it grew worse every day. His mom would have left the marriage, but she stayed because of him. Several times she would park her belongings and travel to Lagos to stay with her older brother, but she would return back to her abusive marriage again, all because of Abbas. This happened for several years. So sad he couldn't fulfill his promises to his mom, because untimely death snatched her away from him. She died of a terrible heart condition. She had had this heart problem for a very long time without her knowing or any member of the family, until her husband beat her to stupor one day, and she was rushed to the hospital. Her failure to respond to regular treatment led to more medical investigations that eventually revealed she had been with the terrible heart condition that had eaten her up. All attempts to save her life failed. She died after 2 years of protracted illness. The death of his mom caused him so much pain, and the pain became more grievous when his dad brought in another woman within 8 months of his mom's demise. "Dad, won't you even mourn your late wife?" he queried his dad for the first time. He couldn't endure the pain of the aftermath of his mom's death and his dad's senseless behavior with his new mistress, so he left home at 21 and promised never to return again. It was on this note he promised he would be the opposite of what his dad was. He promised himself to be the best husband in the world. He vowed to make it up to his wife what his mom suffered in the hands of his dad. He went through so many ordeals in life, but despite what he went through, he learned patience, tolerance, and understanding. Even though his dad was relatively comfortable and never cared of how he lived, Abbas did so many odd jobs just to keep up in life. He struggled to train himself in school with the help of some of his uncles, aunties, and his boss he worked for as a houseboy. Eventually he graduated from the university and luck shined on him. He came out second best in his department with second-class upper credit. It wasn't difficult to secure a job, and 2 years later he was called upon to be a part-time lecturer in the same department he graduated from. Immediately he went for his master's and became a regular lecturer. He vowed not to marry any of the city girls because he thought they were too civilized to be good wives, so he went to his village in Ikotakini in search of a wife. As at this time his dad was late, he died of depression because his second wife was not like Abbas' mum. When she couldn't tolerate his excesses and sometimes had to engage him in a fight, she left him, and he became lonely and isolated. He sustained an injury on his head because his second wife hit him with a mortar one of the days they quarreled and fought each other. This was what led to his depression that later led to his death. Abbas got married to Emem, a very humble village girl with no more than secondary education. He told his wife about how his dad treated his mum and how she died untimely. He told her about his desire to be the best husband and his vow to make it up to his mum. But now that his mum was no more, he promised to transfer all his promises and vows to her. He made her so comfortable, enrolled her for extra moral lessons so she could rewrite her wake and also sit for jam. With his help, she got admission into the university where he lectures. 4 years later, Emem graduated and Abbas helped her get a teaching job with the university staff primary and secondary school. In order to help her concentrate on her studies while in school, they had just one child, and when she finished, Abbas suggested they should have more children now that she was done with her studies and working. This was what ignited the fire that made the life of Abbas miserable. When people say that luck doesn't exist, it is a mere fallacy. Getting married to the right person sometimes is by luck. Abbas was not that lucky like his mum was not. All Mm's humility was all pretentious. She insisted she won't have more children even after many pleas from her husband. When the issue of having more children was causing issues, Abbas left it and moved on. But as if that was not enough, Emin began to deny him his conjugal right, holding to the fact that she didn't want more children. But we can do family planning, or even use condoms if you don't want to have more children, he suggested, but that didn't yield. I am sorry, we don't do family planning in my family, it is a taboo, she said. And from this trouble to another, and like his dad, he became depressed because of his wife's attitudes. Emin didn't limit her bad behavior at home. She started dating other lecturers in the same university where her husband lectures. She would come home any time she liked, and her husband would dare not challenge her. She would raise her voice until she attracted the neighbors, an attitude Abbas detested so much. Instead of letting her attract the neighbors, he would let her be. While she got worse every day, Abbas sank deeper into the ocean of depression. He would wake up in the middle of the night to cry and wished he never married. Whatever he did to make Emem happy never made her happy. She pushed him so much one day that he didn't know when he gave her a slap. He lost control of his anger and momentarily forgot his vow to be the best husband in the world. She screamed as usual, and all the neighbors gathered. She gave herself a wound on her face, pretending it was from the slap Abbas gave her, and ironically everyone blamed him for raising his hand on his wife. Some were so disappointed at him. Some called him a wife beater and a beast. He cried throughout that day because he knew he was not an abuser, but his wife pushed him into what happened. He could not eat for days as he was seen walking on the street talking to himself like a madman. He lost his job a few days later because he was losing focus and was not meeting up with the demands in the office. He tried all his best to apologize to his wife for slapping her, but all his apologies didn't make any difference. She made his life more miserable and unbearable. His dream of becoming the best husband in the world was dashed because he was unlucky by marrying the wrong woman. His world fell apart. It is indeed a true saying that the thing which I greatly feared will come upon me, and that which I was afraid of will come unto me. To avoid marrying a bad woman, he went to the village to marry a local girl. The local girl has become a thorn in his flesh. Abbas, who was once cherished by every woman as a very good and caring lover, is now regarded as an abusive husband. He has become a shadow of himself in his own home. If something is not done urgently, Abbas will just slum and die one day. All attempts to speak to his wife to change and give her husband a chance to love her proved abortive. Her hostility and ugly attitudes to third parties scared away people from intervening in their marriage. She once chased out Abbas' auntie, who helped train him in school, out the house. His uncle said he should divorce Emma and marry another woman, but Abbas said he is a Christian and he is aware how much God hates divorce. His friends advised him to impregnate another woman outside and rent a place for her and her baby and systematically avoid Imam, but he said he's afraid of polygamy. Some neighbors advised him to be a man and give it back to his wife with the same measure she gives it to him, until she comes back to her senses and realizes he is the man of the house and the head of the home. But he would remind them of how he hated domestic violence and how he vowed to his late mother to become a better husband and a caring father. Some said he should leave her and move to an unknown destination with his child to start a new life, but he doesn't want to leave the city where he has built a career. Some even advised him to travel out of Nigeria, leaving Imam and the baby here in Nigeria. Abbas is confused right now. What do you advise Abbas to do? Do you believe that some people are lucky and some unlucky when it comes to choosing a life partner or not? Abbas gave me permission to write and share his story. After all my efforts in prayers and counseling did not yield any positive change. If you have a partner who is willing to make the marriage work, be grateful to God, because you are indeed blessed. Marriage, the elders say, is like a local rice which you have to chew with all carefulness. and it is not a bed of roses, but it should be enjoyed, not endured. So many men and women like Abbas are in a bad and abusive marriage today, but they have refused to speak up or seek help from counselors or appropriate authorities, and it is causing more harm and damage to their career and everyday activities. Please, if you find yourself in this type of relationship, you need to let someone close up help you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel.